Stocks on Wall Street end the session higher, fueled by tech stocks. S&P 500 scores back-to-back gains, while Dow Jones touches a new record ahead of critical economic data this week. Asian markets mirror Wall Street moves. Japan's Nikkei continues its post-election rally. GIFT Nifty is also indicating a higher start for the Indian market. Crude oil prices hold on to gains from the previous session amid lingering tensions between the US and Iran, despite signs of progress in recent talks. Meanwhile, gold rises as dollar slips and focus turns to the US jobs data. In key earnings today, Titan is expected to report an extremely good quarter. Standalone revenue seen 40% higher from a year ago. Meanwhile, Eicher Motors is expected to report a steady Q3 set of numbers. CV Business is expected to boost earnings. Also, watch out for numbers from Grasim and Apollo Hospitals. Hello, good morning. You've tuned into CNBC TV 18. I'm Vinny Motiwala. Thank you so much for tuning in to Power Breakfast. First up, let's look at what the Asian markets are doing this morning. They are mirroring what's happened in the US market, and Asian markets have risen this morning as US tech stocks gathered some momentum overnight in the trading session, given that last week we'd seen such a sharp sell-off coming in here. Now, Japan's Nikkei, that is seen a very good rally, and this has continued after the Japanese market has seen that Takeshi trade continue, where they had a sweep-out win coming in there. So that was a big update. Taiwan index holding on to gains of 1.7%. Hang Seng holding on to strong gains. Kospi also seeing a very strong gain. So overall, Asian markets are seeing a very positive up move in the trading session. Indian markets indicating a positive start for us as well. Nifty implied open, 75-point uptick right now is what we're keeping an eye out on. But that's all the Asian market action that we have for you all this morning. We have a lot of cues that have come in overnight. How is that going to be impacting our markets? Let's go across to our team of research who is joining us to set you up for trade, tell you which are the important stocks to watch out for in the trading session as well. First up, let's go across to Vivek, who's here to tell us which are the important cues that we're keeping an eye out for in the markets today. Good morning, Vivek.
Well, good morning. Like you mentioned, it's a positive momentum and it's an optimistic note on which we're expected to open trade today. Like you mentioned, U.S. markets ended largely high yesterday. Dow Jones went and hit a fresh record high. Oil price is something that we will keep an eye out on. Almost 1.5% higher as U.S. sanctioned, as well as spoke about some amount of caution regarding its own ships washing by or going near the coast of Iran. Now, talking about the Indian market, yesterday is a very strong trading session, and along with that, you did see significant outperformance coming from the broad end of the market. Small cap index high of almost 2.5%. The key gainers yesterday had to be SBI. Very strong Q3 results aided the up move, and that led the Bank Nifty higher. Reliance Industries also one of the strong stocks that held the Nifty up. Kalyan Jewellers, Zydus Life, some stocks on the broader end of the market that reacted very strongly to results. Now, advance decline ratio was very strong in favor of the advances at 4:1. Today, quite a lot of key results to watch out for. Titan, Eicher Motors, Torrent Power, some of the companies that will come out with their results, even in Apollo Hospitals, will be something that the street will keep an eye out for. In terms of results reaction, keep an eye out on BSE, good set of numbers overnight. Navin Fluorine as well as Aurobindo, these stocks will react to results that were declared post-market hours yesterday. Also keep an eye out. Amphi monthly data is something that will come during the course of today's trading session. Asian markets definitely, like you mentioned, all indicating a positive start for our markets.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Vivek. But let's move on and go across to Gaurav, who's here to list out the stocks that we should keep an eye out on this morning. Good morning, Gaurav.
Well, good morning. First, let's talk about BSE, a very good set of number. It was above street's expectation, and at the same time, if you look at profit, that increased almost threefolds to around 600 crores now. But it will be really interesting to see if there is any spillover effect from the commentary made by NSE on the STT product. Apart from that, Navin Fluorine. Now, if you look at this company as well, we saw net profit increasing almost by twofolds, and margins also expanded 34%. Aurobindo Pharma, numbers actually came a bit higher than our own poll. Margins came in at around 20.5%, which was in line, but at the same time, net profit, that was actually above our poll. Ramco Cement, if you look at margins, they contracted, but at the same time, profit has almost doubled for this company as well. On the flip side, let's also not forget about Texmaco Rail, because net profit has declined almost by 44%, and margins also contracted to 8.5% for the company. Other than that, let's focus on Garden Reach, because company has signed MOU for strategic partnership with Hindustan Shipyard. RailTel, this company received a new order worth 455 crores. And lastly, let's also not forget about Seagull India, because this company has also received an order worth 1700 crore rupees in a day today.
Okay, Gaurav, thanks so much for that. And finally, let's go across to Sudarshan, who's here to tell us important cues in the world of F&O. Good morning, Sudarshan.
Good morning, Vinny. So it's a good setup looking like from the F&O desk. And if you talk about the Nifty's range, support for Nifty is looking in the range of 25,700 to 25,850. And while it might face the resistance around 26,000 if you go as per the data, yesterday also we saw that Nifty has recovered from the 50 DMA, that is 50-day moving average of around 25,790. Two main contributors yesterday, Reliance Industries, the biggest contributor, and after that, SBI has seen a big surge after a strong set of earnings that company has reported for Q3 FY26. These two are the main contributors. Now come to the Nifty PCR, that's the put-call ratio. It has increased to 1.11 versus 0.96 that we had seen on Friday. And that's indicating you that there is a huge put writing that we are seeing in the range of 25,700 to 25,800. Put writers believe that for now, these levels can be protected. Nifty is unlikely to slip below that level. And in the index futures, we have seen FIs buying of more than 760 crore. In the stock futures also, there were buyers of more than 440 crore. Now, longs exposure has increased to 19%, while on the short side, exposure has reduced to 81%, though they remain heavily shorted as of now. On the put side, 25,800 and 25,750. Both these put options have seen maximum increase in the open interest, but premium for both these options has seen a fall. While on the call side, 26,000, 25,900 were the most active ones, and premium for both these call options has seen an increase. So support 25,796, that's the 50 DMA. Resistance, first resistance would be around 25,950. If we cross that comfortably, then the door for record high opens for Nifty. Two stocks are in the bench, Sale and Samant Capital. I'll keep an eye on three stocks. Bosch. Q3 earnings were weak, and after that even commentary was weak, and yesterday we have seen fresh shorts in that stock. Godrej Properties and Amber Enterprises. Godrej Properties has been seeing fresh longs after Q3 earnings, while Amber Enterprises has seen short covering ahead of the earnings, and after that even Q3 earnings are looking very strong.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. But let's move on. And the government on Monday said that India's oil sourcing strategy will be guided by national interest and it will not depend on single country for its needs, while highlighting that actual purchases are done by petroleum companies with decision dependent on market conditions, availability, pricing, as well as risk assessments. Listen into what the Foreign Secretary had to say.
Our foremost priority is to safeguard the interests of Indian consumers insofar as energy is concerned, to ensure that they receive adequate energy at the right price and through reliable and secure supplies. And we import crude oil from dozens of countries. We are neither dependent on any single source for this, nor do we intend to be. And it is natural for the mix of sources to vary from time to time, depending on objective market conditions. Our approach is to maintain multiple sources of supply and diversify them as appropriate to ensure stability. Therefore, I would say that the more diversified we are in this area, the more secure we are.
Okay, on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. After the break, we'll get you updates from the White House in a special segment. Trump Watch, stay tuned in. Welcome back to Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. And in the US market, what happened was that Wall Street ended higher in Monday's trading session, with technology stocks lifting the S&P 500 while the Dow Jones notched fresh record highs. S&P 500 rose for the second straight session, gaining around 0.5%, while the Nasdaq jumped 1%, led by the strength in tech stocks. Let's go across to CNBC's Kate Rogers, who's getting us a wrap on what happened on Wall Street.
Markets were up across the major indexes in Monday trading as tech stocks mount a comeback. The Dow gained 20 points to close above 50,000 for the second time. The S&P 500 rose 33 points. The Nasdaq was up 207 points. Opening statements for two landmark trials targeting social media companies kicked off Monday. In Los Angeles, Instagram parent Meta and Google's YouTube are facing claims that their platforms are deliberately designed to be addictive and that they harm children. The second trial, brought by the state of New Mexico, accuses Meta of failing to safeguard its apps from online predators who target child users. Both tech companies dispute the claims and cite the many safeguards that they've added over the years. And Lyft on Monday officially launched teen accounts more than 2 years after rideshare rival Uber. The new program matches passengers between the ages of 13 and 17 with drivers and has safety features such as PIN verification, real-time tracking, and recordings. Lyft says drivers who accept teens require a high star rating and can't be blocked by a, quote, significant number of riders. That's the action from the U.S. market. Back to you in Mumbai.
Thanks so much for that. Now, here's some commentary that's coming from Kevin Hassett, the Director of National Economic, on what to expect in the U.S. jobs report amid strong GDP growth and labor force charges.
There's a pretty big decline in the labor force because of illegals leaving the country. And so the break-even job number is quite a bit lower than it was under Joe Biden, when there were people basically coming across the border willy-nilly. And so I think that you should expect slightly smaller job numbers that are consistent with high GDP growth right now. And that one shouldn't panic if you see a sequence of numbers that are lower than you're used to, because, again, population growth is going down and productivity growth is skyrocketing. It's an unusual set of circumstances.
Now, here's some opinion that's coming from Mohammad Al-Arian, Chief Economic Advisor at Alliance, on the outlook for Bitcoin following the recent sell-off.
Only as so far as people really bought into adoption, that attracted a ton of speculators. And then you got a shakeout. You see it also in silver. You see it to a lesser extent in gold. And I think this is what we've seen so far. I think the fundamental theme for Bitcoin is continued slow institutional adoption. And it's going to be volatile until that base of resident investors, not tourist investors, resident investors, becomes big enough to absorb. It is in gold. It's not in silver. It's not in Bitcoin.
Now, let's move on and get to the latest on Trump-related developments. The first up is that U.S. President is in an interview with Fox Business said that Wash was the runner-up in his previous Fed chair search and that it was a big mistake to pick Jerome Powell instead. Now, he further said that the pick to lead the Federal Reserve, Kevin Wash, could actually drive economic growth of 15% to 15%, a highly optimistic claim that highlighted the pressure Wash would face if confirmed. Now, moving on, United States has cut reciprocal tariffs for Bangladesh imports to 19% under the new bilateral trade agreement. In addition, the U.S. is committed to establishing a mechanism for certain textile and apparel goods from Bangladesh using U.S.-produced cotton and man-made fiber to receive zero reciprocal tariff in the U.S. market. Moving on to another update that's coming from President Trump. He's set to travel to Beijing in the first week of April for the summit with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. And this is according to the Politico reports. Now, however, in a separate statement that came in, the White House official said that Trump and Xi's April meeting date has not been finalized yet. So we'll wait out for the date there. Lastly, Donald Trump also threatened to bar a new $4.6 billion bridge connecting Ontario as well as Michigan from the opening of that bridge. Now, in a Truth Social post, what has he claimed? That Trump is saying that the bridge was being built without U.S. consent. He said that he will not allow the bridge to open until the United States is fully compensated for everything U.S. has given Canada. He further said that Washington should own at least half of that bridge. So that's the latest update that is coming in on the Trump front. But that was the last update there. On that note, we're going to step into a very short break. After the break, we'll come back with what's happening in the world of commodity. Welcome back to Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Let's move on and bring you the latest update in the world of commodities. Manisha Gupta joining in with us as always. Good morning, Manisha.
Morning, Vinny. Thank you for that. I'll start with the crude oil prices, where we are looking at gains being held. The lingering tensions between U.S. and Iran have been supportive. The latest warning from U.S. is that the American flagged ships should avoid Iran waters and Strait of Hormuz as well. In addition to that, the U.S. president also has put pressure on Iran with an executive order imposing a 25% tariff on imports from any country that directly or indirectly purchases goods from Iran. So clearly, this is the exact premium that we are looking at in sense of prices. While the crude may be turning in the positive, the metal prices have continued to decline. Remember, Jan was a very strong month. We saw record highs in copper, in tin, in nickel as well in some sense. But all of that seems to be off right now because of strength in US dollar. China industrial demand has slipped because of the Lunar New Year holidays there. There is also profit-taking, liquidation of long positions, increase in inventories, all of that weighing onto the base metal prices. Silver as well is trading 2% on the weaker side right now. So when it comes to metals, almost everything down in profit-taking.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Manisha. Some profit taking there coming in for the metal side. But let's move on. New rules and firms under the IT Act are being readied ahead of the start of the new fiscal year. We learned from the CBDT sources that the number of IT rules may be cut from 511 to 333, with substantial reduction in firms as well. Tim C's here with more details on that one.
The Income Tax Department has brought in new draft rules and forms which will be part of the Income Tax Act 2025, which are supposed to kick in from 1st of April 2026. According to CBDT sources, the new proposed draft rules and forms are open for stakeholders' consultations for 2 weeks, and as per the current proposed draft rules and forms, some key changes that are being proposed includes real-time exchange of information with crypto exchanges for transactions which will be undertaken in the upcoming fiscal, that is FY27. Also, the new draft rules recognize the transactions being undertaken through CBDC because that is now being recognized by the central bank. Apart from that, when it comes to employees, a lot of benefits are packed under these new rules. The Income Tax Department has revised and rationalized the decade-old exemption limits for, say, HRA, for children's school fees, for driver salary, for several other allowances. And these allowances have been actually realigned, keeping in mind today's expenses and realities. So this could mean further realignment of pay packages of employees to the real-time analysis, and these exemptions will be allowed under both new and old regimes. So there could be more income in the hands of people if these draft rules are being notified as is. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Tim C. But a quick check in what's happening in the Asian markets as of now as well. Japanese index, that's the Nikkei, that continues to trade higher by 2%. We have Taiwan index that's gained some momentum as well, 1.67% uptick that we're seeing over there. Hang Seng also continues to trade with gains of 1.4%. So bit of an up move that we're seeing coming in the last half an hour for the Asian markets as well. Indian markets obviously indicating a positive start. It was up almost 70 points. Now it's up 88 points. Nifty implied open. So let's watch out where that's going to be headed. But with that, we're going to wind down this edition of Power Breakfast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, is Bazaar Morning Call.